Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Roger Glenn with Poss Realty. Over the course of the next 52 weeks, I'm going to have a series of video features talking specifically about real estate. Some of that will be unique to Rabun County, Georgia, where Laura and I live and work with Scott Poss, one of the greatest brokers in the state of Georgia. And some of the other content will be generic to real estate. It may pertain to market conditions and other things like that. And I thought we'd start with the first in this series, talking about Rabun County and North Georgia specifically, and why it's a great place to live. All of this is probably applicable to tourists, but specifically, if you or someone you know is interested in North Georgia or Rabun County, then this is a video that you do not want to miss. Laura and I actually went through this process not all that long ago when we decided, after I retired from the United States Army after 31 years, that we wanted to live in Rabun County, Georgia. So I'm going to give you 11 reasons why, although there are more, and maybe point you to a couple resources where you can get more information, to include our park bench site. And again, this series of videos really is applicable for consumer buyers, sellers, commercial real estate investors, folks that currently have a home and are considering refinancing, making decisions about whether or not they should buy or sell, what the market conditions are and may be in the future, and things of that nature. So it's largely applicable to everyone. And each time I'll try to introduce what the topic is so that you know ahead of time. But if you're interested specifically in Rabun County, Georgia, it's the northeasternmost county in the state of Georgia, so it is in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, and of course everyone knows it for its natural beauty. That includes those ubiquitous mountains and the views that you see, but also the lakes, the rivers, the waterfalls, the forests, and all the things that we have to offer. Population density. A lot of people don't realize that Rabun County has one of the lowest population densities in the state. 60% of the land is owned by the U.S. Forestry Service, and another 10% or so by the power companies. So that results in only about 30% of the land being available for private use. Then when you consider the topography, frankly, it's a place where you can find a lot of privacy and a lot of great views, to include some of those Forestry Service properties and things like that. It's a very unique environment in that regard. We're the only county in the state of Georgia that has 3 state parks. You have Tallulah Gorge State Park. You also have Black Rock Mountain State Park, and you have Moccasin Creek State Park. So 3 parks in one county. We are blessed with the riches. Those parks and some of the other things that we have in the way of activities just equates to a plethora of options, whether you're talking about hiking, boating, rafting, whitewater rafting, camping, horseback riding, skiing, all of those things and many, many more. Hunting, obviously, are available to you. So whatever it is you like to do outdoors, you can pretty much do it right here in Rabun County and in the immediate vicinity, surrounding areas. Proximity to other areas. We're essentially 2 hours from a lot of different places. Asheville, Atlanta, Greenville, Knoxville, and then closer, depending on where you are in Rabun County, to some larger cities like Clarksville, Franklin, North Carolina, and Toccoa, Georgia. And so you have a lot of different options in terms of travel to, if you're not close, you're not in driving distance, or if you need to travel. And a lot of people have moved here for work, working remotely. So this is not something that's unique to Rabun County. It's happening all across the country. But in terms of Rabun County, you've got a lot of options in terms of airports and different cities that you can get to for some of those things that you come to expect down in the major metropolitan areas. So the climate here, given that our elevation is a little bit higher and we are still in Georgia, is still pretty mild. Relatively mild winters. We do get some snowfall, which is a lot of fun. It's real good looking, and that can make life challenging when the snow's here, but it generally doesn't last all that long. It will melt off. And then in the summers, a little bit lower humidity and a little bit lower temperatures. So it's a great place to come to escape the heat, even in the summer. So you can do a lot of that. The cities within Rabun County, a lot of people think of nature and, again, the mountains and the forests and things like that. We certainly have an abundance of that, but we also have a fair number of smaller cities. Clayton is the county seat. And in addition to that, we've got those cities like Dillard, Mountain City, Tiger, Raven Gap, Tallulah Falls, and then other areas or communities that aren't incorporated, like Timpson Creek, Persimmon, where Laura and I live, Sky Valley, etc., etc. In all of those places, you can generally find antique shops, lots of retail places, farm-to-table restaurants. Rabun County is the farm-to-table restaurant or capital of Georgia. If you didn't know that, that is official. So you can win a trivia contest with that. And lots and lots of things to do at those places. Music venues, one-of-a-kind stores. We have some just spectacular stores and proprietors that curate content. A lot of those are featured on our Park Bench site, so check that out. Have some of the highest rated schools, the county schools, public schools in the state of Georgia, but in addition to that, we've got 2 private schools that are also phenomenal. And so if you're thinking about moving here for the kids, you've got Raven Gap, Noguchi, and you've got Tallulah Falls, in addition to, again, highly rated county schools. So a lot to offer there. The people, like every place else, probably make Rabun County the most special of all. It's really a diverse group of people. We have everything ranging from indigenous peoples. Cherokee Indians largely settled this land and lived here in the 17th, 18th centuries. And then sort of European colonists settled some of the area. And we have all that to brand new people coming from all parts of the United States, as well as internationally. We've got a lot of folks that live here, but a very diverse culture. A lot of people don't necessarily think about Rabun County in that regard, but if you think of it ethnically, it certainly is. And then that culture up here is definitely a mix of mountain life and some of the newer and more modern things that, again, you would expect in terms of distilleries, breweries, the farm-to-table restaurants, entertainment venues, things of that nature. You've definitely got a variety of options as it relates to living. Again, a lot of people think about the mountains, but we've got some in-town living options here. We have valleys and fairly flat farms and pasture lands that people live in those areas, whether or not they have a working farm or not. And then we have people that live all the way up on the mountain and sort of all points in between. Of course, a lot of people like to live on or near the lake. They might like to live near a river, and just really a wide variety. It's not an area that you drive through and you see home after home that look fairly similar. And while we have subdivisions and homeowners associations, they're not what you typically think of in terms of block neighborhoods and things like that. They're formed more to maintain roads and things of that nature. We have a lot of festivals. We've got Celebrate Clayton that's coming up at the end of this month, which is April 24th and 25th. It's an annual arts festival sponsored by the North Georgia Arts Guild. A lot of different events, music, antique festivals, different things like that going on all the time. And once again, you can find out more about that through the Park Bench site or Explore Rabun, which is through Forward Rabun. It's the Chamber of Commerce and sort of the Visitors Bureau, if you will, doing all that. So all these things apply, even if you're a tourist, and we're pretty confident that if you come up to Rabun County, you'll probably decide that you want to come back, and you'll come back, and at some point you'll probably decide that you want to own a home up here or spend more time up here. So whether or not that's a second home or you decide to move up here all the time, Rabun County, Georgia is one of the best places you could possibly live. We feel very blessed to be here. And if you need more information, feel free to get in touch with me or Laura, and we'd be happy to work with you. We love working with buyers, especially, and helping them understand the community, what their options are, and make a really good decision, something that's going to make them ecstatic for years to come. And we get a new set of neighbors out of the process, which we kind of like that. You can check us out on Park Bench, as I mentioned. We also have a Facebook page that will put information out from time to time. Of course, our YouTube channel, and we're pretty much everywhere else in social media as well. Subscribe to our newsletter if you want to stay up to date. And I mentioned some other resources. I mentioned Explore Rabun, but if you do some looking around, you can find there are some other resources out there letting you know all the great things about Rabun County. There are a lot of people in the choir singing about how great this is to live. So we'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this very much. And again, come to Rabun County. You won't regret it.